Hello and welcome to another modelling video. This is Alan from the Man at YouTube with another model video. This one's a bit different. The Grafix British Armoured Tank. Assumed Challenger 2 clip kit sold at Target for $5 around the mid 2010s. Scalemate has listed this as a 1/72nd kit containing 2 runners, 8 parts, 4 acrylic paints, a sticker sheet and set of instructions. I am aware that very obscure, old, very bad, very cheap models do not do too well on YouTube. Don't really care, this is just too good not to document, build and show off. Almost nothing to it, not much effort required, and I don't think much effort was put into designing this. Way too much information in the instructions for a single piece hull, tracks attached to each side, a non-moving turret and gun. It is designed as a young child's build play toy on a budget, currently unavailable, and you won't find anything at this price, at this scale. From my point of view, a brilliant blank canvas and a fun plaything. We'll be using traditional scale model methods of cutting the parts off the runners with the 2-cut method, trimming the nubs and sanding, a couple of flash lines that also need to be sanded, and quite a few sink marks that are very obvious and needs to be filled with putty and sand back. Everything is snap fit and does not require glue, still glued things down. The most unusual and weird aspect is pegs for the non-traversing turret and this very bizarre looking armament gun. The void inside the wheels is kind of comical, and no bottom plate under the hull. An antenna and machine gun is also included, but do not really resemble anything. Plastic is an unknown blend, very little polystyrene, reacts poorly to plastic cement, and super glue is required to adhere anything together if you want to. Not to hate on it too hard, I do really like how the tracks are molded, and the hull has some sort of scale proportion to a vintage Challenger kit. Did I mention it's only $5? Me and the boys, when we found out, went as a group to raid as many as we could from our local Target, and also scored a leopard. Reading the instructions, I was impressed to find mixing 3 of the colours produces British green, an old traditional method of mixing every paint on hand to produce the World War II colour equivalent. These cheap acrylics were dried to a hockey puck and the brush completely unusable, so we colour matched it as close as possible to some Mr. Hobby. And there you go, a fairly convincing military green. Again, with this terrible plastic, we're having a lot of trouble adhering solvent paints onto the surface and getting a lot of fisheye. The same would have gone for primer. And of course I couldn't say no to these funny little stickers. I only did this quick sidestep to see what it looked like in its original intended scheme of stickers and colour, with this unique detail of disproportionate guns, cannons and fuel tanks. Normally I'd just jump to modifying and kit bashing, but had too much fun. I'm definitely not ashamed of this. Taking a measurement in mil from the gun to hull, googling the length of the tank I think it's supposed to be, then playing with common scales in Scale Model Calculator, hoping for a loose common scale match, I found it to be exactly at 1/48. Finding some parts and an entire model on Thingiverse as an STL file, I cut out what I needed: wheels, made them halved, my own fuel drums, barrel, machine gun, smoke launchers, scaled, cleaned up and modeled them in their respective materials. Maybe way too much effort for something this simplistic, where I could have 3D printed an entire tank in the cheapest material at the same cost. The wheels were glued then puttied in, all the other parts would have been super glued or pin viced in, like the barrels and cannon. A little bit of putty for some detail and metal rod for an antenna. Not wanting to use any meaningful material, cheap fast food takeaway containers were chopped up for the under hull plate. Second time painting, I actually decided to lay a coat of automotive primer to look for imperfections and get a proper adhesion layer for the next layer of paint. There was some sanding and surface treatment to prevent the fish eye and adhesion issues. Also, not wanting to use expensive decals, I painted painted black and mask the company or theatre markings. Going for a 90s 2000 Middle Eastern scheme, a base coat of orange and building up in 3 coats of yellows, then sand. Almost gave it a cartoony cell shading, which will be lightened up with filters and washes. Small details, antennas, guns, smoke launchers, tracks and headlights were all hand painted, also in lacquers. Engine exhausts and vents on the back highlighted with liquid smoke. Pulled together with a black sludge wash to build definition and fill panel lines, raise detail. After 24 hours of drying and curing, a matte clear coat. If this was an 80s Airfix Matchbox Eshy Frog kit, this is not too bad. The hull really pulls it all together, and replacing appropriate detail with the gun, machine gun, smoke launchers and barrels gives it some sort of credibility. I don't know, with all this work it is thoroughly far better than the out-of-box sticker single colour rendition. This is very amusing and a lot of fun, but want to take a break from bad kits for a little while. This is compared and sat next to the Airfix 48 scale quick build. Thank you very much for watching, and until next time, stay tuned for further content. We'll catch you guys later. Have a look at the social media links down below, and see ya.